Thank you, everyone, for being here, and thank you for your patience as we get situated this morning. Thank you, council members in Sacramento. I think we're going to go over meeting logistics pretty quickly here just to make sure that the interpreters are able to get set up. I'll kick it over to the interpreters to go ahead with theirs.
Para personas que necesitan interpretación, háganos favor de pasar a la mesa en el fondo del salón a recoger auriculares. Gracias.
Díganme cuando estamos bien. Great. Thank you all. So for those of you looking for interpretation here in the room, looks like we're set up. And those of you on Zoom, please feel free to send a question if you have one in the chat about interpretation. I'm going to go through quick logistics on public comment. For public comment, please fill out a comment card in person or use the raise your hand feature if you're on Zoom, and you will be put into the queue. We will take public comment in the following order throughout the duration of this meeting. First, those attending in person here in San Diego. Second, those attending in person in Sacramento. And then those comments from anyone attending online or calling in. If you're calling in from a phone on Zoom, you can press *9 to raise your hand for the public comment. Support staff will unmute you when it's your turn to speak. We will now call the meeting to order. Deputy Secretary Sarah Eisent will call the roll. If you're present, please say present.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. For the California Environmental Protection Agency, Chair Secretary Yana Garcia.
Present.
California Health and Human Services Agency, Secretary Kim Johnson.
Present.
GoBiz Diana Dominguez, Trade and Investment Representative, is attending virtually due to illness today. For Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency, Undersecretary Melinda Grant. Currently not present, but we will amend the minutes when she is added.
Great.
When she attends. California Governor's Office of Emergency Services Deputy Director Yvonne Durantes.
Present.
California Natural Resources Agency Deputy Secretary Noaki Schwartz.
Present.
California State Transportation Agency Senior Advisor Giles Giovinazzi.
Present.
US EPA ex officio member Deputy Regional Administrator Cherie Peterson.
Present.
California Department of Food and Agriculture Undersecretary Christine Birdsong is not present. Chair Garcia, we have established quorum.
Great. Thank you very much. We'll now call the meeting to order at 9:15 a.m. Thanks again for your patience. So welcome everyone to this meeting of the California-Mexico Border Relations Council. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, this council serves as the state's central organizing body to coordinate cross-border initiatives and partnerships across the California-Mexico border. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and honor with gratitude the land we are all on and the people who have and continue to steward it throughout the generations. Today's meeting will cover a range of topics, including updates on member agencies' efforts in the border region and the ongoing sewage challenges we face at the Tijuana River, as you all know well, the perennial issue that we visit during this meeting. California and Mexico, as you all also know, share family, community, workforce, and countless economic and environmental resources across our 140-mile-long border and beyond, which we are incredibly grateful to take up as topics of conversation during these meetings. I look forward to hearing from our local, state, and federal partners on their efforts in this border region at today's meeting. And before I move on, I want to just make one adjustment to the order of the agenda items. We will be hearing item number 7 on the Tijuana River before our cross-agency collaboration updates, which is item number 6, unless there are any objections, and I will pause to hear if any of my council members have objections to the change. Hearing none, we will move item number 7 up to proceed item number 6. Now, I'd like to take an additional moment to share a few thoughts and a moment of silence for a dear colleague and friend. Some of you may be hearing this for the first time, and it is with deep sorrow that I share the devastating news that our dear friend and colleague Sabine Tologan has passed away. I know some of you will be learning this again for the first time here today, and possibly like I was, will be devastated and quite surprised and heartbroken. My heart goes out to each and every one of you. Sabine was a passionate leader who dedicated her career to helping make the world a better place, not only for tribes and the Native community, but for all people. I had the honor to work with her in her role as Deputy Secretary for Intergovernmental Relations at Cal EPA. In this role, she worked tirelessly to represent underserved communities here in the border region by reaching across the border to identify solutions to pollution in the Tijuana River and advocating against harmful federal policies, stripping away critical federal funding for programs protecting communities and our environment. Sabine will be remembered as a collaborative and warm colleague, a mission-driven team player, and someone who spoke her mind and pushed for what is right. As a queer Chumash woman, she took on the responsibility to dedicate her career to stand up for justice, to right historical wrongs, to strengthen tribal sovereignty, and support urban and rural Native communities across our state. As someone who had the privilege to work closely with her and to hear her laugh from one door down, I care deeply for her. And I share in the pain that many of you are feeling. I offer my deepest sympathies, and I'd like to take a moment of silence in her honor. Sabine will be deeply missed. And I know she would want everyone in this room today to reflect and identify opportunities in your space to make the world a safer and more welcoming place for all Californians. Thank you for your grace with us as well as we move into transitions for the work that Sabine took on with so much passion and enthusiasm. We'll now move on to agenda item number 4, the discussion and possible action to approve the draft minutes from our previous meeting on April 8th, 2025. Do we have any questions from council members on this item? And for those of you here in the room or in Sacramento, there are copies of the minutes in the room. A motion to approve this item?
I move to approve the draft minutes from the council meeting on April 8th, 2025.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Sarah, do you mind calling the roll? If you vote to approve, please say yes or aye and raise your hand or via Zoom now. And if you vote no, please say nay or raise your hand via Zoom now.
Yeah, I think what we'll do for the votes is just if you vote to approve, just
Great.
say A or I now.
Great.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And if you
Aye.
vote nay, please say nay or raise your hand via Zoom now. Chair Garcia, the motion passes.
Great. Thank you. We'll now move on to agenda item number 5. Agenda item number 5 is a discussion and possible action to approve the 2024 California-Mexico Border Relations Council draft annual report to the legislature and delegate authority to me as chair and our team to make any requested edits, finalize, and submit it to the legislature. I will kick it over to our colleague, Ryan, to provide an executive summary.
Sure. Thank you, Chair Garcia, and good morning, council members. As you know, the California-Mexico Border Relations Council was created by Assembly Bill 3021 in 2006. It serves as a central organizing body that coordinates cross-border programs, initiatives, projects, and partnerships, along with the Secretary of Environmental Protection serving as the chair. In 2014, the responsibilities of the council were modified by Bill 690. This bill guides the council today, and the council is legislatively mandated to, among other things, coordinate activities of the state agencies that are related to cross-border programs, engage with the representatives of the state of Baja California and the Mexican government to participate in meetings and projects, establish policies to coordinate the collection and sharing of data related to cross-border issues among agencies, and of course, to submit a report to the legislature on the council's activities annually. This year, the report contains updates from over 15 different boards, departments, and agencies and offices and programs whose work intersects with the border region. This includes areas such as trade, health, housing, environment, transportation, safety and emergency response, and our counterparts in the federal government, the US EPA. A few of the 2024 highlights include, in March, GoBiz attended the Select USA Mexico Conference in Mexico City, engaging with approximately 200 Mexican companies interested in US investment and presenting clean tech opportunities in California. Also, the California Department of Housing and Community Development invested over $226 million in Imperial and San Diego counties across various programs, including the Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities Program. In terms of transportation, California's border crossings processed over 16 million pedestrians and more than 31.3 million personal vehicles and over 1.6 million commercial trucks, underscoring the significant role the region plays in both national and international trade and transportation. The report also contains information on efforts from Caltrans in their work with the federal agencies to alleviate the impacts of congestion related to border wait times. While there are many more efforts and activities highlighted and outlined in the report, one of the main takeaways is the sheer volume of work the state of California does in the border region across various sectors. The council will find the report highlights the coordination and the collaboration of all of your agencies with our local, federal, and international partners. Upon your approval, Cal EPA will finalize and produce the report and submit it to the legislature as required under statute. The draft report is available in hard copy at your meeting locations for your consideration. Thank you, Chair Garcia.
Thank you, Ryan. Do we have any questions or comments from council members on this item? Do we have any public comments in the room on this item? Appreciate again, Ryan, the read through of the executive summary. Do we have a motion to approve this item?
I move to approve the annual report.
Thank you, Secretary Johnson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Great, thank you. Now, please say aye or raise your hand via Zoom if you approve, or please say nay or raise your hand via Zoom now and we'll count the votes.
Aye.
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 Chair Garcia, the motion to approve the report and submit it to the legislature passes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, council members. We'll now move into agenda item number 7 per the change in the agenda. Council members and partners will be providing brief updates each on their respective coordination and response efforts on the Tijuana River. After the updates and presentations, we will open for public comment. And just to frame out a bit before we begin, we have all in our respective roles, both federally and locally, as well as across the state, been actively engaged in solutions for the Tijuana River for many years now. As we continue to support funding for projects that address water quality issues and continue to exercise our respective jurisdiction to address the challenges ongoing at the Tijuana River, this is a good opportunity to be able to share challenges that we are still facing and areas where we still want to make improvements, as well as progress that we've made to date. We have taken this up at nearly every California-Mexico Border Relations Council meeting in some way, shape, or form. And in fact, the last time we were here, had a deep dive also with our federal partners who are here today into progress being made at the Tijuana River and across the watershed. So looking forward to hearing from each and every one of you about that. In addition to Cal EPA, of course, our colleagues at Health and Human Services Agency under Secretary Johnson's leadership has done quite a bit. At the Natural Resources Agency under Secretary Crowfoot and his team's leadership have also been engaged on this. And so we're really looking forward to hearing what more we can look forward to in this area and what progress has been made to date. With that, I will kick it over to Dave Gibson, Executive Officer of the Regional Water Quality Control Board, for the start of some of the presentations on this item. Go ahead, Executive Officer Gibson.
Good morning, Secretary Garcia, members of the California-Mexico Border Relations Council. I will do my very best to speak slower than my usual pace. I have so much to cover for you in just a few minutes. I want to thank you for this opportunity to briefly update you on the ongoing efforts related to transboundary pollution on behalf of the Regional Water Quality Control Board and the 30 agencies and organizations of the Tijuana River Valley Recovery Team, organized in 2009 and collaborating within our authorities and jurisdictions to address transboundary flows constructively. This issue, of course, goes back to at least 1953 when the regional board newly inaugurated adopted Resolution 53-5 asking for the federal government to intervene on transboundary pollution issues, with mainly sewage. However, it was not the only place in the region dealing with sewage. San Diego Bay was labeled as experiencing the lethal effects of pollution as a result of municipal wastewater treated and untreated discharge to the bay at multiple locations. Throughout the 1950s and up to 1963, the regional board, the city of San Diego, county of San Diego, U.S. Navy, the predecessor of the Port of San Diego, all collaborated to develop an approach for a regional collection system and a regional treatment plant designed to grow as San Diego grew, just in time. That is the solution that we also have faced and have started incrementally on the transboundary pollution issues in the Tijuana River watershed shared by the two countries. Unfortunately, however, in those intervening 70 years, the Tijuana River, as far north as Coronado, has 55 water quality impairments listed on the Clean Water Act for the river, the estuary, and the coastal waters. Some of those are trash and bacteria, and many of them are other compounds and constituents of concern. And unfortunately, Borderfield State Park north to Imperial Beach has been closed for 1,373 consecutive days as of today. And the Tijuana River, naturally an ephemeral drainage that flows only during rain events, has flowed continuously for 1,139 consecutive days, largely with sewage-dominated flows. This was not, however, the first time we've seen this, of course. During the 1980s and 90s, when I had my own baptismal event in the Tijuana River, sampling it for bioassessment, it was 365 days a year then of sewage flows. The construction of the International Treatment Plant in 1997 ended that for a time. The collection system improvements in Tijuana substantially provide the level of service for Tijuana for a time. And unfortunately, those improvements we've outgrown, and we have now found ourselves back to what we were experiencing then. But the solution is ahead of us. In 2017, the Regional Board held an environmental justice symposium. We invited members of the public to join us in a quorum in Barrio Logan. And the number one issue that was identified as the key issue for the Regional Board to address was the border issues with the Tijuana River Valley. After that, the Regional Board had brought every single regulatory tool that we have to bear on the issue, including enforcement, litigation, permitting, planning, everything that within our authority and influence would allow. And in particular, we advocated for what eventually became the USMCA Act. We identified ahead of time projects that we would recommend that the federal government engage with Mexico to fund. And we were very happily satisfied that Congress provided the start of that. And we now find ourselves with at least one of the 9 projects that were identified in the record of decision that came out of that fully funded and underway. And I'll talk about that in a few moments. In the meantime, the Tijuana River Valley Recovery Team has also made progress on studying the issues and identifying the types of projects that could be constructively implemented to address transboundary flows, protect ecosystems and communities. So I'll summarize a few of those as we also get close to go on. Among the things that the Regional Board undertook was the development of 2 total maximum daily loads, one for bacterial indicators as a surrogate for sewage and the other for trash, solid waste. In consultation with US EPA, we modified those calculations and converted them to what are called advanced restoration plans or water quality restoration plans. The key is the implementation. In this case, we identified that the record of decision approved by US EPA and IBWC with 9 project areas to address transboundary pollution would achieve the bacterial indicator load reductions and the trash load reductions. So we focused those on our advanced restoration plans. Our plans call for attainment of bacterial indicator standards in 7 years from the last December, and for trash progressively over time from 5 to 9 years. And I have some success stories to share with you on those. As I indicated, we're looking towards the US-Mexico engagement in Minute 328, which is one component of the strategy, and on the record of decision, which includes projects in the US and Mexico, the first and foremost of which is the treatment plant expansion in order to attain those loads. We are proposing a MOU with EPA and IBWC, as we've had before in the 1990s with the treatment plant built then, to guide us in terms of permitting, enforcement where necessary, and planning and monitoring and assessment to demonstrate to the public the value and the accomplishments that we expect this to have. With respect to the international treatment plant expansion, it was designed and built at 25 million gallons per day. But it was always anticipated that it could provide all of Tijuana's eventual needs. So it was oversized in terms of the outfall. The outfall can handle 180 million gallons per day. Right now, it's receiving just about 30 million gallons per day. The plant itself was located where it was so it could grow incrementally as Tijuana grew. So we still have the opportunity to make good on those decisions and investments from the 1990s with the USMCA going forward. Fortunately for us, the IBWC, having addressed maintenance issues in the plant, have brought the plant back into compliance and gave us the opportunity to not only begin the expansion work on the plant, as IBWC is contracting to do, but also to incrementally increase the expansion volume right away. So they proposed bringing the plant up to 35 million gallons per day, using the existing infrastructure and adding ferric chloride and polymer to enhance coagulation. This would allow them to take more wastewater from Tijuana and reduce, we hope, flows to the river and reduce pumping costs to the coast of untreated wastewater to be discharged there. In order to regulate that, the Regional Board adopted in this room on August 27th, a cease and desist order to ensure that while those flows increased, the plant remained in compliance with the Clean Water Act and would include protection measures for the receiving waters offshore. The discharge takes place 3 miles offshore. There are interim concentration and mass effluent limitations. There are also interim mass-based effluent limitations. We have remedial and preventative actions that we're asking IBWC to undertake to minimize impacts to the treatment plant from this activity, as well as the outfall and receiving waters. And we're requiring that an agreement between IBWC and its contractor address the increased O&M, operations and maintenance costs and needs for the plant, and a technical report certified under penalty of perjury that verifies assumptions made for design, operation, maintenance, and contingency plans for startup. and assess treatment performance and blended discharge. All of this is a long way of saying trust but verify. A wastewater treatment plant with a collection system in another country is a challenge in and of itself. We're demonstrating that we have several proofs of concept to guide this expansion. Ultimately, though, the treatment plant is going to be
Apologies for the interruption, but if you could slow down.
I
that would
will
be great.
try to slow down
Executive
again.
Officer Gibson,
This is just too exciting.
for our interpreters.
I will do my very best. Thank you very much. We are fortunately starting the expansion of the treatment plant. By we, I mean IBWC and EPA and their contractor. It is a progressive design build, so they're designing as they go. This is intended to shorten the construction time. The original plan was to have the plant completed by 2030 or 2031, which I found disheartening because I would like to retire and I won't do that until this plant is done. Fortunately now, though, with this incremental accelerated expansion to 35 million gallons per day, we are now well underway to getting to the 50 million gallon, and the recent federal MOU with Mexico has identified a completion date of December 2027. So hopefully we will see that capacity increase that will end the daily discharges to the river. The ongoing state and local agency projects. For many years, the communities of San Diego, Imperial Beach, San Ysidro, non-governmental organizations like the Tijuana River Valley Equestrian Association, state parks, others have all been concerned about impacts to public and private properties in the river valley and trying to restore and maintain a genuine jewel of California's coast. That although we've had these sewage and trash issues, we don't have any freeways crossing the estuary. There's no rail lines, there's no power plants. It has enormous potential and has supported important beneficial uses. So some of the projects that we have been working on collectively include a trash boom approach. So Goat Canyon has one. There's one now proposed for Smuggler's Gulch, and there's one installed in the Tijuana River. And I'm very pleased to report to you that the design that was installed last year, just in time for the rains, performed very well and collected over 750 tons of trash that would otherwise have made their way down into the forested canopy of the river and the estuary, where it's functionally unattainable to be recovered. We're looking forward to the continued operation thanks to the legislature's extension of the funding and the cooperation of Customs and Border Protection and IBWC to help ensure that it can be properly operated and maintained. We've also restored the Brown property, a nick point in the flows, so that it can now provide the beneficial uses and also ensure that the Nelson Sloan Quarry just next door will be effectively reclaimed with valley sediment. We also have proposed a Tijuana River Valley Tidal Estuary Restoration Project designed to adapt the estuary to climate change, but also undo historic damage from sedimentation from Tijuana. And that is expected to start. And first and foremost on our list is Saturn Avenue, a location where the Tijuana River makes a sudden drop of about 15 vertical feet. It creates a waterfall effect, a cascade, when it's the significant source of air quality issues in the community from the sewage, hydrogen sulfide. The City of San Diego, County of San Diego, US Navy and the Regional Board and Army Corps are collaborating on an approach to replace that crossing with a span or a large culvert and regrade the stream so that it no longer has that cascade, hopefully addressing the odor issues. But again, source control in Mexico and a river diversion system are longer term, more sustainable changes. And then finally, under Minute 320, IBWC has proposed a sediment management plan that includes source control in Mexico. So we're recommending that go forward. All of this suggests that we know the value and the effectiveness of these actions. I'm very fortunate to report to you that thanks to Senator Padilla, we now have the benefit, the only place in the nation that I know of a real-time pathogen forecasting model for the coastal waters from the border all the way north to Coronado. And looking at it this morning, you can see the effect of the Tijuana River flows, of discharges at Punta Bandera, as well as discharges at San Antonio de los Pinos, which are now treated for the first time in decades. So we can see now the incremental improvements, but more important to the public, they can look to see if it'll be safe to swim tomorrow or the next day or 5 days away. So if you're planning a trip to Coronado from London, you can look in real time and say, yes, when I'm there, this will happen. I can go swimming. Right now, it's problematic, but you can actually forecast. And that's a huge change from what we used to be able to do, which was just to find out you should not have been swimming 5 days later. We also have the International Boundary and Water Commission doing a binational watershed survey and assessment. This is something we intend to make permanent as part of the permit for the treatment plant, and we're partnering with them to see that through. And the regional board is proposing that a sediment quality analysis be conducted of the Tijuana estuary sediments to evaluate legacy pollutants, if any, and identify areas for enhanced or accelerated restoration with a TETRA project or other projects. We will be recommending that for funding to the State Water Resources Control Board, either through Prop 4 or some other mechanism to be identified. There is so much more I could talk with you about today on these border issues, but I think I will close it there unless there are any questions.
Thank you, Dave. Any questions from the council members? I have a couple. Hearing none. Thank you so much for that report. Very thorough. And maybe just so members of the public and those folks in the room, those of us joining us online can help track this as well, and this can get a little bit crystallized. So 50 MGD on the expansion by December 27, which is an improvement to be sure. Can you talk to us a little bit about the incremental progress until we get there, namely the 25 MGD expansion that you mentioned as well, and the timeline for that?
They have already increased flow into the treatment plant from Mexico, from pump station 1 to 30 million gallons per day, plus or minus 1 million gallons. They are now really important. They will have an operational junction box 1, a technical term for the front door of the treatment plant. It broke in 2020, and so they literally could not stop flow into the plant, no matter what the weather conditions or the flow conditions. Hey, they now have controls in Mexico in the international collector, and they will now have that control. So they can regulate the flow into the plant, which they couldn't do before, which was why it failed before. So regulating the flow into the plant, they screen out the coarse solids, cans, bottles, rocks, rags, and debris. And then it goes through 5 primary sedimentation tanks. Up until now, it was just settling what would settle and float what would float and skimming them off. They're now going to be adding ferric chloride, which is a coagulant, makes the stuff stick together and settle more effectively. So it'll be a more efficient primary treatment system than it was before, and also fully operational, all 5 primary sedimentation tanks not becoming forested habitat anymore. Mm-hmm. For secondary, they're adding polymer. That also is a coagulant, and it will improve the operation of secondary. So if they get 75% of the solids and bacteria out at primary, they'll get 95% of the solids and bacteria out at secondary. And we intend to see that they continue to comply with their effluent limitations. We have interim effluent limitations, and the permit itself has final effluent limitations. We will be updating the permit to represent the new operational setup, and that will happen probably in the early part of next year before the permit expires. And we'll be writing a new permit for the fully expanded 50 million gallons per day facility thereafter. That permit will be a new permit, a different permit, because there's going to be a lot of design elements that are different from what is in place right now. And we can't quite yet forecast all of those because we're only at about the 30% design stage. But our staff are meeting regularly with IBWC and with EPA and their contractors. We're making sure that we understand the design parameters so that when we write a permit, it's a permit they will comply with, and that will be protective of water quality.
Got it. Very helpful. And a couple of things that I wanted to underscore in this presentation. I know we have a presentation from the San Diego Air Pollution Control District as well. In much of our collective work here with the state putting forward several millions of dollars for funding of various projects, and through the Air District also putting forward funding for air filters, which I know have gone out and about a year ago and were incredibly well received. There is authorization from Prop 4 that Executive Officer Gibson mentioned, which provides $50 million to be made available to the State Water Resources Control Board for water quality projects. These are very recent appropriations, so we're still awaiting final action from the legislature on these, but very much looking forward to the additional partnership of funding and investment in this work with our federal colleagues and others. So really appreciate the presentation. Looking forward to hearing from the Air Pollution Control District as well. I'll pause to just one more time to see if any other council members have questions for Executive Officer Gibson. Okay.
Thank you. I'll just
Thank
close
you.
by observing that in 1991, I fell into the river when it was raw wastewater. And now I intend to swim in the river. So we will yet get to that day, Secretary Garcia and members of the council, when you can actually enjoy the river for all the benefits it's intended to support. And that's the commitment of the regional board to the community. Thank you very much for your time and attention today.
Thank you, Executive Officer Gibson. I appreciate that. Hopefully we can all take a field trip and swim in the river one day. Okay, I do, before we kick it over to our colleagues at the Air Pollution Control District, I did just want to offer an opportunity for council members to also share any updates that they might have particular to the Tijuana River on this item. And I know our colleague Sherry Peterson likely has some, but do feel free to chime in with others to my fellow council members. Go ahead, Sherry.
Good morning, and thank you very much for allowing EPA to share all the good work that we've been doing since the last time we met. I also do want to express, our sincere condolences over the passing of Sabine. She was a very valued colleague, gone too soon. So thank you. I'm excited to be here. Under Administrator Zeldin's 5 pillars, Tijuana has become one of the highest priorities. In fact, in his both first 100 and 200 accomplishments, the accomplishments of Tijuana getting that moving and moving forward much more quickly were very much at the top. Part of his first pillar, which is clean water, clean land, and clean soil, and pillar number 3, which is cooperative cross-agency partnerships. So we have been doing quite a bit recently, especially through our EPA Border Water Infrastructure Program, also known as BWIP. It's currently the only funding tool that EPA has in order to address the cross-border and the northward flowing of sewage into America. The projects that we have funded have had huge and direct benefits to the surrounding community, including one that the executive officer mentioned, which was the completion of the new international collector. We ran into some issues there, but with the assistance of Mexico and their diligence and the funding from the BWIP program, we were able to complete that program, which is already resulting in some decreased occurrences of catastrophic wastewater system failure and the reduction of spills along the Tijuana River. We are also going to be partnering with Mexico in the rehabilitation of Pump Station 1, which will currently be more than partially funded by the BWIP. Improvements in this pump station directly across the border are direly needed, and once completed, the rehabilitation will avoid the limiting capacity of the conveyance lines, which currently exists, and will replace several pumps at the plant that currently do not function at all. As the executive officer mentioned, Administrator Zeldin was out here in April to sign an MOU with Mexico, with Semarnat. On July 24th, we achieved a major binational achievement to accelerate the infrastructure projects, both on the US side and on the Mexico side, to address this catastrophic situation. Importantly, Mexico agreed to commit to obligate all remaining funds for projects under Minute 328 agreement and commit to timelines, which is in accordance with what we have committed to on the federal side to complete the plant 3 years sooner with the $600 million appropriated by Congress. This MOU aims for a comprehensive 100% solution to this decades-old problem that we had attempted to solve back in the 90s, but has since grown with the growth of communities on both sides. As part of the fast track and administration focus on this, we met a 100-day timeline that we set for ourselves to reduce solid waste going into the river on the United States side. So we have installed a new primary treatment system that will then be blended later with cleaner water, so that we already have, as Executive Officer mentioned, achieved 5 million gallons per day reduction. Our aim is 10. We're going through some testing, and we will soon reach that. And that will, overall, what that will look like is a 40% increase in treatment, which will significantly reduce anything, both the wastewater pollution that we're all familiar with and alleviate the foul smells that the San Diego County residents are currently experiencing. This major milestone is just the beginning. With the increased timeline, or excuse me, the decreased timeline by 3 years, we are focused on this. It was one of Administrator Zeldin's first trips out west. The only other trip prior to that was to the LA fires, which I think gives you an idea of how important this is to Administrator Zeldin. So thank you for the opportunity to share all this.
Thank you. Very much appreciate that update. Do we have any questions from our council members for Region 9? Hearing none, I will kick it out to the council members once more if anyone else wants to share any updates that they have for Tijuana River.
Yes, good morning, Chairwoman Secretary Garcia. This is Kim Johnson, Secretary of Health and Human Services. Wanted to highlight some of the updates from the California Department of Public Health, who has been actively involved in providing independent reviews. It's just, you can hear me okay, Secretary Garcia?
We
correct?
can hear you great, crystal clear.
Fantastic. So the Department of Public Health has been actively involved in providing independent reviews of health reports, as well as supporting the county's public health service and local partners in securing federal assistance and resources. These efforts have been essential in mitigating the immediate impacts of the wastewater releases and associated odors that have been referenced a couple of times this morning. I just also want to note how encouraged we are by the recent binational agreement that was just referenced. And also wanted to highlight that there's an ongoing effort by the San Diego County Public Health Services to examine the feasibility of assessing for long-term health impacts. The State Department of Public Health has been actively providing technical assistance in this effort. And we also know that the county has established a contract with UC Berkeley to support this. And there was some earlier conversations around this long-term health assessment with the Board of Supervisors earlier this month. I also want to reference the Air Pollution Control District, I know is coming up here, and the San Diego County have created an air monitoring system with public notifications and guidance for schools and other impacted entities to take appropriate actions in the setting of those odor events. The California Department of Public Health has been providing ongoing technical assistance in this support as well. And then finally, want to note CDC collaborations. The county, in consultation with the CDC, have developed 2 rapid community assessments with the State Department of Public Health in an advisory role and capacity. That's the Community Assessment for Public Health Emergency Response, also known as CASPER, and that was completed in October of last year, but released earlier this year. That validated community impacts, including the experience of symptoms from odor exposures, impacts on the quality of life, and changes in activities and recreation. It also recommended performing the assessment of chemical exposure study. And that study is to examine impacts from chemical exposures, and that was conducted October to November of last year. Again, the recommendations from that study were to mitigate the problem at its source, and we just heard some updates on that front, as well as developing a comprehensive notification and public outreach plan. So again, just appreciate the efforts at the local level and the California Department of Public Health's advisory capacity and technical assistance capacity to support those efforts locally. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Johnson. Thanks for your leadership on this issue and your steady partnership in ensuring that folks get accurate information on the public health side as well. Any others who want to share anything before we kick it over to the Air Pollution Control District?
Hi there, Yvonne Durantis here with CalES. I also did want to share that through the State Warning Center, CalES does also continue to monitor and notify U.S. stakeholders of spill reports. Reports are received from agencies such as the National Response Center and the International Boundary and Water Commission, as well as from private citizens. And so once reported, stakeholders are notified through CalOES. And so this prompts local agencies to deploy technicians to further assess the situation. So we understand that this issue has been ongoing, and so we are just very appreciative of all of our local, state, federal, and international partners on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Resources Agency, Deputy Secretary Schwartz.
Thank you. Just pull this forward. On behalf of the Natural Resources Agency, I'm pleased to provide an update. Our agency oversees more than 26 different departments, boards, commissions and conservancies, a number of which are engaged on border issues, including the Coastal Commission, State Coastal Conservancy, California State Parks, and the Department of Fish and Wildlife. Over the past year, we've really worked to deepen coordination among our departments and with federal, local, and binational partners. And these forums have really enabled, and these opportunities have really allowed us to align science, permitting, and funding priorities on both sides of the border. And we're advancing a number of projects. Just to provide a snapshot, these include the Tijuana Estuary Tidal Restoration Program, the Nelson Sloan Quarry Restoration and Beneficial Reuse of Sediment Project, and the Smuggler's Gulch Improvements Projects. Each is jointly planned, permitted, and funded to reduce sediment, trash, and sewage flows while restoring wetlands and public access. And we are also working to elevate community voices through initiatives like the Friendship Park People's Histories Installations and the Ocean Corps Pilot Program, which trains local youth in coastal stewardship. And our departments are sharing long-term monitoring data from the estuary so we can target investments where they will have greatest investment or greatest impact, excuse me. So we are, CNRA and our departments are working to ensure that the California border region projects are not siloed, but coordinated and evidence-based. And we're really collectively working with a network of partners and doing what we can to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you. Very helpful updates from the council members. Seeing no additional requests for updates on the Tijuana River item, I will kick it over to our colleagues at the San Diego Air Pollution Control District. Domingo Vigil, go ahead.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me okay?
We sure can.
Thank you. I will go ahead and share my screen so you can see my presentation. Just 1 second, please. Can everybody see a slide deck on your screens?
We can.
All right, thank you so much. Good morning, Secretary Garcia and council members. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on the efforts to address ongoing sewage odors in the Tijuana River Valley. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning. I will go ahead and start by talking a little bit about our monitoring efforts and our public outreach. As the APCD continues to provide updates to the community on our efforts to address odors from the Tijuana River through our dedicated Tijuana River website, social media, and through other forums, such as the International Border Community Steering Committee. Through our website, members of the public can access background information about the pollution in the Tijuana River, air monitoring data and guidance when we document elevated levels of hydrogen sulfide, information regarding our air purifier program, information on odor investigations, and how to submit odor complaints, as well as additional resources. I would like to highlight our hydrogen sulfide dashboard, which provides historical and real-time hydrogen sulfide monitoring data from our network of T101 analyzers located in the communities of San Isidro, Nestor, and the city of Imperial Beach. Odor updates or advisories are shared through social media or our website or our email listserv when hydrogen sulfide concentrations exceed the OE-high and CARB threshold of parts per billion, which most people would have physiological reactions to odors such as headaches and nausea. The advisory includes information on which monitoring site recorded the exceedance, the date, time, and the hydrogen sulfide concentration, as well as general recommendations the public can follow to reduce exposure. We would like to take this opportunity also to provide a brief update on the latest hydrogen sulfide concentration levels we have seen. This chart shows elevated concentrations of hydrogen sulfide during the month of May It is important to note that during this time, construction work was being conducted on the sewage system and international collector in Tijuana, which likely impacted sewage flows into the river. Construction was completed by the end of May, which coincides with a significant drop in hydrogen sulfide concentrations as seen on this chart. Since then, we have seen a few isolated events with elevated hydrogen sulfide levels. I will not talk about our multi-agency coordination. As the APCD has continued to coordinate with local, state, and federal entities to support our air monitoring efforts, information sharing, and public outreach. We continue to coordinate closely with all agencies you see on the slide, and we are sharing information and data with the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry to help inform a health risk evaluation they are currently conducting. Now I would like to provide a brief update on our air purifiers program. In November of 2024, the San Diego County Air Pollution Control District Governing Board approved appropriations of $2.7 million in interest earnings accrued from our AB 617 Community Air Protection Program incentives funds to purchase air purifiers for households impacted by poor air quality stemming from the Tijuana River wastewater crisis, with the goal of distributing up to 10,000 air purifiers. As the APCD staff developed an online application portal for eligible households to request an air purifier and replacement filters, and began full implementation of the Tijuana River Valley Air Improvement Relief Effort, or AIRE program, in February of 2025. The program initially offered applicants the choice between home delivery and event pickup. Over 90% of applicants preferred to have the equipment shipped directly to their addresses, so we transitioned the program to full direct home delivery. Given the size of the air purifier and people's busy schedules, this approach provides a convenient delivery option. As the APCD has coordinated with community-based organizations and other stakeholders, including school districts, community planning groups, health clinics, elected officials, and local government agencies to conduct outreach related to this program. Staff has also conducted door-to-door outreach in communities where program participation has been low, and has a regular presence at the Imperial Beach Library to help support in-person registration. Our staff is also working with the County of San Diego, Meals on Wheels, and various senior living facilities, apartment complexes, libraries, and community centers to conduct in-person registration for the program to try and help bridge the digital divide for those who may not have ready access to online registration portal. Our partners at the County of San Diego are also attending community events and maintaining a regular presence at trusted community establishments such as employment centers, markets, YMCAs to promote program and support registration. On August 26th, the county sent over 10,000 messages to community members to inform them about our free air purifier program. In response, we received about 500 additional applications within a few days. To date, over 6,800 air purifiers, each with associated replacement filters, have been approved for distribution to households within eligible communities. And out of those, 6,200 units have already been delivered. Earlier this week, staff distributed a feedback survey to households that have received an air purifier between December 2024 and July 2025 to determine its effectiveness, overall satisfaction, and other key factors. Preliminary findings indicate that overall high satisfaction with both the air purifier and the application process. This concludes my update, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Domingo, and to your colleagues at the Air Pollution Control District. And really good to see some of that progress. Want to note again a quick thanks to our colleagues at the Air Resources Board as well, within the Environmental Protection Agency for ensuring that funding was so quickly streamlined to the Air Pollution Control District through the AB 617 program, which I think is important to lift up considering the many benefits that we get from that program for communities just like those impacted here in the Tijuana River region and across the border region in particular. I will kick it out to public comment. I don't know if there are folks here in the room who would like to comment on this item. But given some of the updates and much of the work that no doubt many of you are engaged in relating to the Tijuana River, if we have public comments in the room, we'll go to those first on this item.
I think we do have a public comment from Tiffany.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Short. Good morning. My name is Tiffany Curry, and I'm here on behalf of the San Diego-based nonprofit Outdoor Outreach, and as a convener of the Tijuana River Coalition, a network of over 50 organizations advocating for the restoration of the river valley. One of the biggest challenges that we face isn't just the scale of the pollution, but the lack of capacity to respond. The San Diego Water Board is legally responsible for permitting and oversight, and we thank them deeply for the work that they are doing, but they don't seem to have enough staff dedicated to addressing these border issues. As a result, major projects from wastewater treatment expansions to estuary restoration are slowed. Without additional staff, we risk further delays that threaten public health, habitat recovery, and flood protection. With additional staff resources, we could see faster implementation of state, federal, and local projects, better coordination with binational partners, and real accountability to ensure that these investments deliver the results that they promise. For working class families who have borne these impacts for decades, this is a matter of equity. Strengthening staff capacity of the San Diego Regional Water Quality Control Board is essential to finally deliver clean water, clean air, and long overdue protections for our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany, for your comment. Well taken. Do we have any other public comments in the room?
I think that's it for this item.
Great. And no online. I'm not seeing anyone in the room in Sacramento.
No.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you all again for those presentations. And thank you again, Tiffany, for your comment. We'll move on to agenda item number 6, a discussion on cross-agency coordination. For this item, each member agency will discuss our interdepartmental and interagency collaboration on border programs and projects. Then we as a group will discuss opportunities for strengthening that collaboration on the same. So I think I will go ahead and start with some of our folks maybe in Sacramento. Or I see you've come online, Diana from GoBiz. Good to see you. Let's go ahead and start with maybe Undersecretary Grant, BCSH.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of BCSH, the Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency, and Secretary Moss. Throughout, I would say the past year, and building up to the years, we've been really excited about a program through the Department of Consumer Affairs and the Medical Board called the Licensed Physicians from Mexico program. It allows us to bring in 20 to 30 doctors to work in rural areas. And so we extended that program this year, which we're really excited about that partnership. HCD has invested over $70 million in HUD funding for housing and homelessness throughout the region of Imperial County and San Diego. And so just wanted to highlight that for the group. There's a host of other collaborations that we look forward to discussing today, but that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Undersecretary Grant.
Just very briefly, Undersecretary, just to say I have recently met one of those doctors in Los Angeles. So thank you for your partnership on that front, and they are out doing great work across the state of California.
Very
Thank
cool.
you, Secretary.
Very cool. Deputy Secretary Dorantes, did you want to provide an update from OES?
Yes, I have a couple updates since we last met. A couple things to flag. So since we last met in June, when fires threatened communities and energy infrastructure in Tecate, Mexico. CalES was in contact with Baja California Protección Civil, Governor Avila's office, and U.S. Consul General in Tijuana. CAL FIRE did deploy critical support, and CalES remained on standby, ready to assist with any additional resources needed. And luckily, there were no unmet needs with that incident. Beyond response, we have also maintained strong day-to-day partnerships with Mexico's 10 consulates across California, and we have trained dozens of consular staff in disaster preparedness so that they're equipped to support Mexican nationals during emergencies. To that end, we did also participate this summer during the Labor Rights Week at the Mexican consulate here in Sacramento, providing resources in Spanish on how to prepare for emergencies. And it was also an honor to participate in the dedication ceremony for civil rights leader Dolores Huerta, alongside colleagues from the Labor and Workforce Development Agency and the Agricultural Labor Relations Board as well. The California Office of International Affairs actively has been promoting the Listos California 2025 Regional Disaster Ready Summit as well. Participants have the opportunity to expand their network and strengthen relationships, learn problem-solving tools, and receive disaster preparedness information and resources during these summits as well. So we have been delighted to meet in person with various of the consuls from across the state. And recently in Fresno, the first ever all in Spanish summit was conducted. And this summit was able to bring together trusted messengers from local communities to strengthen those connections and help make California's vulnerable populations more resilient to disasters. Most recently, this September, CalES also attended the Binational Emergency Communications Work Group hosted by the San Diego County Office of Emergency Services and the Office of Border Health Operations Center. And these ongoing virtual meetings had previously been put on pause, but we are very glad that they are back on schedule and bringing together local, state, federal, and Mexican officials to discuss cross-border coordination, communication protocols, and emergency response priorities. And then lastly, I did just want to note too that our State Warning Center does continue to track and share updates on cross-border pollution with key local, state, and federal stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you for that update, Deputy Director. And let's go to Senior Advisor Giovanazzi in the room.
Thank you very much, Secretary Garcia. I'll just briefly highlight a few examples of our work in the past year, which include new infrastructure, climate initiatives, and upcoming planning efforts. First, just last month, Caltrans completed a key final portion of State Route 11. This is a critical milestone in completing the South San Diego County roadway network supporting mobility to and from the future Otay Mesa East port of entry. Additionally, Secretary Garcia, I'm excited to share an update on the California-Baja California Resiliency Plan Interagency Task Force. SANDAG and Caltrans have brought together local, state, and federal agencies to form this task force, including US EPA, CARB, San Diego Air Pollution District, Secretariat of Environment and Natural Resources, or SEMARNAT, State of Baja California, and the Secretariat of Economy and Innovation, and more. The task force is focused on creating a comprehensive plan to address climate adaptation and environmental justice issues in the border region and the transportation network serving it. In August, we also hosted the California Transportation Commission and Caltrans Equity Advisory Committee for a border infrastructure tour. I'd also like to provide an update on the Calexico West Port of Entry travel corridor improvements, which were discussed during our last Border Relations Council meeting in Imperial Valley. This summer, Caltrans completed a study with short and long-term strategies. The short-term strategy introduces operational improvements for the new Calexico West Port of Entry that will relieve idling traffic going southbound into Mexico and provide a more efficient route. The long-term strategy proposes the realignment of 2nd Street with an overcrossing bridge positioned above the existing Cesar Chavez Boulevard at-grade crossing. And lastly, the California-Baja California binational rail strategy is in the process of being updated. The plan will be an innovative integration of passenger and freight rail investments, policies, and programs, and a critical step toward supporting California and Mexico's aggressive vehicle miles traveled and greenhouse gas emissions reductions reduction goals. So in closing, CalSTA and Caltrans are committed to promoting social equity while safeguarding our environment. Together, we are creating a more sustainable and equitable future for our border communities.
Thank you for that. It's really helpful to hear. Secretary Johnson.
Thank you, Secretary. The California Department of Public Health Binational Border Infectious Disease Surveillance, and I'm going to reference that as BIDS program. This is a cross-agency collaboration with the Center for Disease Control, San Diego County Public Health Services, and Imperial County Health Departments. So the BIDS program is focusing on improving early detection of binational infectious disease outbreaks, allowing for faster public health response and limiting the spread of infectious diseases in border and binational communities. The surveillance is done in collaboration with the Naval Health Research Center. We are also fostering partnerships between the California and Baja California health authorities to ensure timely public health action is taken in response to infectious threats in the border region. The BIDS program maintains close communications with the Baja California Health Secretariat to discuss ongoing public health priorities in the region. That Baja California quarterly meeting was just held last month on August 19th, and the purpose of those meetings are to enhance situational awareness as it relates to infectious disease and provide a platform for sharing information in that space. Also want to note that we are maintaining routine and emergency communication protocols to respond to binational infectious disease outbreaks. The California BIDS team worked collaboratively with local, state, and federal partners in the development of the U.S.-Mexico Operational Protocol for Binational Communication and Coordination on Disease Notifications and Outbreaks. On June 17th, the BIDS California program participated in the U.S.-Mexico scenario-based facilitated discussion on emergency communication and laboratory sample sharing protocols. The objectives of that meeting were to review and update the communication protocols in alignment with international frameworks, to address challenges in cross-border human sample sharing for diagnostics, and identify health security priorities in preparation for the 2026 FIFA World Cup jointly hosted by U.S., Mexico, and Canada. And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Secretary Johnson. Super helpful to hear. Well, I'll kick it over here in the room with us in San Diego, Deputy Secretary Noaki Schwartz for CNRA.
Thank you. So we have a few updates. We're moving towards the implementation of the 30 million phase 1 of the Tijuana Estuary Tidal Restoration Program in 2026, which will restore more than 80 acres of wetlands and transitional habitat to improve water quality and tidal flow. State parks and the Coastal Conservancy are also advancing the Nelson Sloan Quarry Project to beneficially reuse sediment from flood control basins. CNRA departments are also working on maintenance and capture. As I mentioned before, State Parks is working to maintain the Goat Canyon sediment basins, capturing tens of thousands of cubic yards of sediment and tons of solid waste each year. And our departments are also working to improve the Goat Canyon trash booms and supporting an educational video to raise public awareness. And finally, through the Ocean Corps pilot program and Marine Debris Leadership Academy, we're training the next generation of coastal stewards and building cross-border leadership capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Secretary Schwartz. Diana Dominguez from GoBiz, I'm going to turn it over to you if you're still with us on Zoom.
Yes, I am. Thank you, and apologies for not being able to join in person. I started to not feel well, and I've been around several people that have recently tested positive for COVID. So in an abundance of caution, I'm just going to keep to myself here. So
no problem. We appreciate the caution and hope you stay healthy.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. Diana Dominguez on behalf of Director Dee Myers here at the California Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, also known as GoBiz. I've got quite a few updates to share, so I'll try not to speak too fast, but get through these for the sake of time. So I do have a PowerPoint presentation that if we can pull it up and I can start to address some of these items while it is being pulled up. So today I wanted to go over the work of our International Affairs and Trade team, provide a brief update on our efforts with the Southwest Border Regional Commission, and also provide a brief overview of our Jobs First initiative. So next slide, please. So GOBIS recently participated in the California Baja California Sustainable Development Summit. That's that first picture, top left. Took place in Ensenada, was hosted by UC Alianza, and it was building on the 2024 Energy MOU between the California Energy Commission and Baja's Energy Commission. The event brought together government, academia, and business leaders to advance clean transportation. There are a number of workshops and panels that focused on this topic, and the results of the summit produced some project proposals that the UC Alianza team will be taking on, which include financing decarbonization, binational workforce training in clean energy and electromobility, cross-border data observatory efforts, and green infrastructure pilots for community resilience. As a follow-on to this effort, the UC Alianza team will be launching a binational zero-emission vehicle working group in Mexico City in the coming weeks, and GOBIS will plan on participating virtually alongside various state agency partners. GOBIS also recently supported small business participation at the 2025 edition of Aquatech Mexico, with the objective of deploying innovative water technologies to help address Mexico's water crisis. So California water technology firms gained opportunities to connect with potential partners, distributors, buyers, and also received support from U.S. Embassy officials in Mexico City. This effort advanced California's companies' entry into the Mexican water sector, aligning with the national priorities around clean water access, efficiency, and sustainable resource management. We're also currently planning on leading a business delegation to Expo Manufactura in February, taking place in Monterrey, Nuevo León. The goal will be to host a California pavilion to showcase innovative manufacturing technologies that promote sustainable manufacturing across a variety of industry sectors. Technology like advanced AI visual inspection solutions that detect defects and in return reduce waste. So that one should be exciting. As it relates to tariffs, our businesses continue to experience a lot of challenges in the shifting trade landscape. So GOBIS is also coordinating a series of export training programs to help businesses plan ahead and adapt to their supply chains just to remain competitive. We continue to encourage businesses to stay informed and be proactive about the planning for tariff-related challenges. So we've created a tariff resource guide, which compiles a number of resources to help businesses navigate the current global marketplace. I'm happy to share a link to our website with this information for anyone who's interested. Next slide. So now pivoting to our work with the Southwest Border Regional Commission. For those that are new to the commission, it's a federal state partnership that's established to foster economic development in the southern border region of Arizona, California, New Mexico, and Texas. The mission is to strengthen regional infrastructure, promote job creation, and support community and economic growth in border communities. California officially joined this commission in August of 2023, and with California's participation, the commission now covers 7 California counties, which include Imperial, Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, San Diego, and Ventura. So California's inclusion here ensures that our border and near border communities have access to new federal resources to address any local challenges and advance regional priorities. In terms of funding and programs, the Commission launched an $11.7 million Economic and Infrastructure Development Grant Program to invest in projects that promote long-term economic vitality and community resilience. California's share is $3 million, and it's slated for infrastructure and economic development projects in the eligible counties. So GOBIS is currently finalizing California's grant award determinations in coordination with the Commission, and we expect to release awards notices by late September 2025. Next slide, please. And pivoting to my final update, the California's Jobs First initiative. So I wanted to highlight the initiative, and for those that have not had a chance to hear about this, it's our first ever statewide bottom-up economic development strategy. We can go to the next slide. What makes California Jobs First different is that it starts in our communities across 13 different regions of the state and pulls together more than 10,000 Californians that include business leaders, workers, educators, tribal representatives, and local governments to shape the future of their local economies. It's their vision that became the foundation for this economic blueprint. Next slide. So that's a quick snapshot of the 13 different regions. Next slide, please. So given the focus of today's conversation, I'll just briefly highlight the southern border region. So here, local leaders identified the different assets and opportunities that make this region essential to California's future. The coalition is comprised of a community of environmental justice organizations, regional economic development entities, labor unions, community-based organizations, local governments, educational institutions, and indigenous tribes, all working together to create and enact an equitable economic development plan for the region. The Southern Border Coalition is comprised of Imperial and San Diego counties. And the co-conveners, as you can see here, include San Diego State University Foundation, el Comité Cívico del Valle, the Policy and Innovation Center, La Universidad Popular, and the SBCS, which is formerly known as South Bay Community Services. Next slide. So at the state level, California Jobs First allocated $5 million for regional planning and $14 million in catalyst funding to each region so that they can create their own plans and that diversify and equalize the local economy with climate change in mind, and to invest in projects that support the priority industries identified by the coalition. Next slide. So the coalition aims to foster long-term economic resilience across San Diego and Imperial counties, and it coordinates competitive applications for additional funding from state and federal government. I know this slide is a bit tough to read, but I share it with you to showcase the priorities of the different regions. It's not a surprise to anyone in the room that the region has prioritized trade and logistics. The ports of entry at Calexico and Otay are critical gateways, not just for California, but for the entire nation. And so through Jobs First, we're investing in the infrastructure and workforce that keeps goods moving and supply chains strong while creating good paying jobs here at home. The second focus is manufacturing. So the southern border region is home to more than 4,500 manufacturing firms and 120,000 jobs. Together, they generate nearly $30 billion annually. So through the Jobs First initiative, we're helping to scale these industries with a focus on advanced manufacturing, and that's everything from aerospace components to robotics. The third priority for the region is life sciences. So through Jobs First, we're aligning state resources with local priorities to help grow this sector and expand pathways into these careers and ensure that the benefits shared broadly are shared broadly across the communities. Fourth is clean energy. The southern border is really leading the way with solar, geothermal, lithium development. with Imperial County's Lithium Valley. We have great opportunity to build an end-to-end battery supply chain in California, which is critical for clean transportation and energy storage. So Jobs First is working to turn that opportunity into long-term high-quality jobs. And finally, the region's tourism and creative economy, from cultural tourism to film, TV, and the arts. These industries are generating more than $10 billion annually and support 170,000 jobs. So through Jobs First, we're not just celebrating these industries, we're really investing in them as engines of growth and opportunity. Next slide. And we can go to the next slide, I think. So what does this all add up to? Jobs First is really about making sure regions like the Southern Border region that they have the tools and the resources and support to turn their vision into reality. It's about building from local strengths to create more good paying jobs, expand access to those jobs, and keep California at the forefront of the global economy. A total of 19 projects have been awarded by the coalition in round one for a total of 4.9 million. That's 8 projects that were located in Imperial, 8 projects located in San Diego, and 3 projects that covered both counties. The coalition really sought projects that promoted economic resilience, equitable growth, and workforce development across high growth industries that they identified in their strategy. And it's important to note that these projects needed to align with the Jobs First core goals of creating quality jobs, advancing sustainability, and prioritizing disinvested communities throughout the region. Next slide. So this is just a quick list of the different projects that were funded. Next slide. Next slide. And next slide. So the next round of funding is underway. Round 2 will award an additional 4 million, and the applications are due by October 5th. Next slide. And that's all I got. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Diana. Super helpful to hear about, in particular, the Jobs First effort, but always appreciate GoBiz sort of facilitating some of these really important conversations on building out our regional economies and in particular providing additional job access. I always find the slides on or information, data points on what the regions are prioritizing for economic activity very interesting. And so if there's appetite for an additional deep dive on some of this, maybe after the next award, maybe we can revisit it again at a future meeting, but really appreciate that presentation. Thank you. Before we move into the last 2 presentations from some of the council members here in the room at the dais, I did want to recognize some of our colleagues from the Secretary for Environment and Sustainable Development Office in Baja California. Thank you for joining us. No pressure if you don't have an update or something you'd like to share, but if you'd like to share anything, I'd love to call up Anely Fernandez Robledo and Cristal Barragan. If you'd like to come up and share a few words on behalf of Secretary Monica Vega, who is a great partner of ours in so many things. If you'd like to share anything that you all are working on, please do feel free to come up to the podium. ¿Podemos hacerlo en español con traducción a inglés?
We'll be doing this in Spanish with the interpretation into English.
Thank you.
Aumento de calidad del aire.
Un poquito más cerquita del micrófono, creo.
Bueno, ¿ahí? Sí.
No puedo escuchar.
Hola, muy buenas tardes.
Un poco más fuerte y un poco más cerquita del micrófono.
Muy buenas
good
tardes, soy
afternoon.
Anely Fernández. ¿Sí? ¿Se escucha?
Anely Fernández.
Ajá. Anely Fernández, soy jefa del Departamento de
Anely
Calidad del Aire
So in the
de la
Department
Secretaría
of-
de Medio Ambiente y Desarrollo Sustentable de aquí en Baja California.
One moment, un momento.
Sí, sí.
Hearing her in Spanish in here. Sure. I can't, can I speak over her? I can?
Yeah.
Go there. Go there. Okay. Okay. And then
Ah, okay,
one
okay.
there. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yes, what, yeah, we're just, what we're. And I'll do her consecutive. And she'll do that on Zoom. We were trying to do the two at the same time. It's not working. Perdón.
No, no te preocupes.
Lo va a hacer consecutiva y voy a estar con usted.
O si quiere, voy pausando y ya.
Sí.
Mejor. Ok.
Así. Sí, por el simultáneo no funciona.
Ya.
Perfecto. ¿Están bien?
Yes.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Anely Fernández.
I'm Annalie Fernandez. Good morning.
Soy jefa del Departamento de Calidad del Aire
I'm in charge of the Department of Air Quality
de la Secretaría de Medio Ambiente y Desarrollo Sustentable
for the Environment and Sustainable Development
de Baja California.
for Baja California.
Aquí a nombre de la secretaria Mónica Vega, estamos en su representación
And we are representing Secretary Monica Vegas.
y no tenemos como tal actualizaciones para el día de hoy,
We don't have official updates for today,
pero sí queremos enfatizar sobre que estamos en la disposición de seguir con las mesas de trabajo.
but we want to emphasize that we are willing to continue with the work groups
Que hemos estado trabajando con ustedes. Tenemos lo que es el memorándum de entendimiento
that what we have with you all, which is the memorandum through the memorandum of understanding.
que habíamos estado trabajando. Lamentablemente, pues también nos llegó la noticia de Sabine. Nosotros pues estamos colaborando muy directamente con ella.
Okay. And then also we also got the unfortunate news about Sabine. We've been working very closely with her.
Entonces, pues estamos también en la espera pues de poder retomar las siguientes mesas de trabajo y poder continuar con las colaboraciones.
And then we're willing to continue with the following months of collaboration and working with you all.
Así también nos interesaría continuar con las mesas de fronterizas pues a nivel mesas de México y San Diego, con el distrito. Entonces,
We'd also like to continue with the roundtables between California and Mexico.
nos vamos a seguir manteniendo en contacto para poder volver a retomar también esas pláticas.
And we'll be waiting to continue with those talks.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
De nada. Gracias.
I'll go in English for ease, maybe. Antes de que se vaya, vamos a compartir contacto para las personas ahora que van a estar en contacto con ustedes por esas mesas. We'll be in touch before the end of the day today to make sure that you have the right contact information for folks to continue those work groups. They've been very successful. And as many of you will recall, later in the year last year, we did sign an MOU with Secretary Vega. Please do send her mis saludos. Always a pleasure to see her and to build our partnership. Our MOU covers several matters relating to climate and environment, and we were very excited to sign that with her and look forward to continuing to implement that. Okay, I will kick it over to our ex officio member, Deputy Regional Administrator Cherie Peterson.
Thank you. So I want to talk a little bit about our Border 2025 work. Obviously, that has been going on for a while, and we are wrapping it up this summer. We will be doing some monitoring and assessing, as well as looking at lessons learned as how we can perform with our partners better in the future. We are also starting to negotiate and sign a new binational environmental plan. And our goal is to sign that in summer of 2026 for the next 5 years. And we're grateful for all of our partners. Some specific areas that we work in this Border 2025 plan are air quality, water quality, and waste treatment. Went over the water quality earlier in our work with in the Tijuana River in various capacities. In air quality, first, I do want to thank both the Imperial County Air Pollution Control District and the San Diego County Air Pollution Control Districts for their partnership and their commitment to public health and a cleaner environment. So we appreciate the Imperial County, their powerful ongoing public health campaign to discourage the public from engaging in activities that create particulate matter pollution, such as burning of waste. We are also very pleased with the work they are doing on grants to monitor hazardous air pollution in Imperial County, particularly along the New River in the Imperial Valley. We also appreciate the work that they're doing to pave alleyways and two previously dirt roads to reduce air pollution. Also really want to thank the San Diego Air District for their partnership in funding the indoor air filters to monitor the Tijuana River odors. Of that program, EPA contributed $540,000, $380,000 for hydrogen sulfide monitoring, and $160,000 for air filtration systems. So I want to thank all of them for their partnership, as well as we are very impressed with the San Diego Air District's hydrogen sulfide dashboard, and really I look forward to continuing partnering with them. For waste management, another sort of cross-agency partnership. We co-hosted in June the Border Hazardous Waste Workshop with the California Department of Toxic Substances Control. Topics included hazardous waste determination, import-export regulations, and spent lithium battery management. I was very heartened to hear of the sort of total life cycle initiative that will be going on for lithium-ion batteries, as we've certainly run into some challenges with them during the fire seasons and after some disasters. We are currently in the process of planning to co-host another workshop in this coming November, and we look forward to working with our partners on that. So thank you again for the opportunity to share what we're doing on areas besides water quality, and we look forward to continued partnership and success in this area.
Thank you, Deputy. Very, very good to hear a lot of that from you all, and always appreciate the partnership. Okay, I think we at Cal EPA are the last to update before we turn to public comment. I do just want to make a quick note on time. We will take a very brief break for a few minutes at 11 a.m. I'm sorry. So we'll go through this update and we'll turn to public comment. And if we are in the middle of public comment, just bear with us as we take a quick break at 11 a.m. So on behalf of Cal EPA, I think many of you are familiar with this, but for those of you who are not, we oversee and coordinate the work of 6 boards and departments in an office, including the Air Resources Board, the State Water Resources Control Board, the Office of Environmental Health Hazards Assessment, Cal Recycle, which handles all non-hazardous waste, be joined by a couple of folks from our team, one from the Air Resources Board and one from Cal Recycle, who will give a quick rundown of more specific updates pertaining to their programmatic work. But just at a high level, I'll start with some of the work that CARB is doing along the border, very pertinent to many of the discussions that have been ongoing about programmatic extensions for programs such as AB 617 and others. But CARB continues to address air pollution issues across the border region through the Community Air Protection Program in particular. This is a program that enhances monitoring resources to understand air quality and related health impacts for communities, and has been a subject of much interest for many of our border communities, as well as a topic of a lot of partnership between our local governments, cities like Calexico and Mexicali, San Diego and Tijuana, facilitated by their respective state governments to enhance the resources available for monitoring resources, as well as our border communities in the Eastern Coachella Valley, North Imperial County, Calexico, El Centro, and Heber, as well as around the San Diego airport, areas like Barrio Logan, and others in this area. So we're very proud to continue that work. Much of the team from the Air Resources Board, some of whom you may even see here in the room, and who are engaged in our cross-border work, are also deep work as it relates to other areas of the state as well. And then since the inception of our California Climate Investments Program and through the end of 24, we've awarded approximately $803 million in greenhouse gas reduction funds implemented in over 35,000 border region projects, which we're incredibly proud of. Also notable, around 68%, almost 70% of this money, equating to about $544.7 million, has been specifically focused on benefiting priority populations. These are disadvantaged and low-income communities and households across the region. So these GGRF projects, Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund projects, are not only useful for what we are investing in terms of proactive benefits, but they also serve a very important mitigation purpose. Now, that is that they've reduced over 5,000 million metric tons of CO2. 5,000 metric tons of CO2, that is carbon dioxide equivalent, throughout the investment of those dollars. And so really important that we continue these investments that not only go to benefits, but also critical mitigation of greenhouse gas emissions, that helps us alleviate some of the impacts of climate change, and build more healthy communities by addressing air pollution burdens in some of our most overburdened communities. The Air Resources Board also continues much of its outreach through, again, the Community Air Protection Program, but also through our low carbon transportation programs. Ensuring that there is better connectivity in low carbon transportation options in this region is an ongoing priority of ours at the Air Resources Board and at Cal EPA, and something that we work with many others on this council, including our colleagues at Caltrans and CalSTA, to ensure that we're able to grow and build out in this region. That is charging infrastructure, that is rideshare options. Those are resources available for enhanced mobility in much of our community here. And then finally, you all heard quite a bit from the San Diego Regional Water Quality Control Board about some of the work on the Tijuana River. But as you all know well, and as we discussed in more depth at our last Border Relations Council meeting, we also have quite a bit moving on the New River, and had some celebration of milestones with the New River Improvement Project back in May. This is an area where we have also been very focused on addressing challenges relating to transboundary flows, and ensuring that we are putting investment dollars into mitigation projects and projects that we hope eventually can grow into more nature-based solutions to address the larger watershed and ecosystem that makes its way to the Salton Sea. And so that is an area that we continue to be very focused on and welcome input from our colleagues on both sides of the border. We've had some very successful partnerships with nonprofit organizations to address some of the challenges at the New River as well as with the city of Calexico, and look forward to growing out that work until we are able to also solve and maybe swim in the New River at some point, solve those challenges and be able to swim in those waters. Finally, I will just before I kick it over to CARB for a couple minutes and Cal Recycle on waste management, and because I know this is a priority of my colleague Secretary Vegas as well in Baja California. Cal Recycle is continuing their work to address the ongoing challenge of waste tires. We have had over the past several years, many successes, but also challenges in this area. We've had ongoing and persistent waste tire issues that affect not only communities on the Baja side of the border, but also our side of the border. And so we remain diligently focused on ensuring that we don't lose track of this as an ongoing shared area of concern, and look forward to taking this up again with Secretary Vega and many of our other colleagues. So I will kick it over to Radhika Majhal, a branch chief from the Environmental Justice and Equity Branch, for a couple of minutes to share some of CARB's work.
Thank you, Secretary Garcia. It's okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Radhika Majhal. I'm the Chief for Environmental Justice and Equity Branch in California Air Resources Board. I'm happy to share some of our cross-agency highlights on the California-Mexico border. Improving air quality in this region is essential to achieving our mission of promoting and protecting public health. And because pollution doesn't stop at the border, CARB takes a binational approach to address shared quality challenges. CARB plays a huge role in performing air monitoring, doing air quality studies, providing technical training and equipment support, participating in air quality task force workshops, working closely with the air districts in the basins, allocating AB 617 community air protection funding, supporting CalEPA in the implementation of the commitments outlined in the MOUs, and also by continuing to strengthen relationships with our Mexican counterparts to improve air quality outcomes. So I will also like to provide some highlights on our work on the Tijuana River. Due to the magnitude of the Tijuana River, CARB has been working closely with San Diego APCD, the county, and CalEPA to reduce exposure to harmful and odorous emissions to communities. CARB's Monitoring and Laboratory Division worked with San Diego APCD to deliver a hydrogen sulfide monitor and equipment to San Diego and provided technical guidance to operate that monitor. CARB's Research Division worked with both San Diego APCD and the County of San Diego to provide guidance on air filter specifications that address hydrogen sulfide concerns in Tijuana River Valley. CARB's Enforcement Division worked with San Diego APCD to develop a supplemental environmental project, also known as SEP, proposal to fund indoor air filtration to San Diego County. Additionally, CARB staff worked alongside the San Diego Air District to facilitate $2.7 million in incentive funding for residential air filtration program aimed at the commitments impacted by air pollution in the Tijuana River Valley. Thank you so much for the time, and we are promising our continued efforts to work alongside you to make these commitments happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Radhika. And for those of you in the room, please do feel free to introduce yourself or maintain contact with Radhika if you're not already in contact and are interested in some of this work. Okay, I believe we have Katrina Lenny-Koenig, on Deputy Director for Environmental Justice, Tribal Relations, and Education at CalRecycle in the room in Sacramento. Hi, Katrina. We cannot hear you.
No?
Now we can hear you.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking the time just to honor Sabine today. She was a dear friend and heart-centered leader for all of us here at CalEPA. Just want to say she left a really enduring impression on the work of CalEPA and the hearts of the agency's tribal liaisons. We will continue to honor her through our work and in all we do.
Thank you.
So just sharing, thank you for that moment. CalRecycle is a department within California Environmental Protection Agency and is supporting the transition to a circular economy in California. New policies are under development to address plastic pollution and improve the circularity of textiles. CalRecycle oversees the tire management program, which is tasked with the challenge of diverting and safely managing more than 60 million reusable and waste tires generated each year in California. Secretary Yana Garcia mentioned the challenges that continue at the border in relation to the management of waste tires. In 2024, CalRecycle funded cleanup efforts led by Imperial County, City of San Diego, and the Urban Core of San Diego that successfully removed over 23,000 illegally dumped tires in the border region, including the Tijuana River Valley and the Borderfield State Park. In April of this year, CalRecycle adopted the 13th edition of the 5-year plan for the Waste Tire Recycling Management Program, covering fiscal years 2025 to 2030. The plan emphasized additional collaboration and resources for border efforts to identify and implement solutions and to enhance participation in grant programs. The border region will be prioritized to better address tire issues and to meet the goals of the MOU with Baja California. This includes support for training programs, enforcement activities, and tracking tire flows across the border to assist border region officials, businesses, and tribes with the option for the proper management of waste tires in the border region. CalRecycle continues to focus on improving mechanisms to track material flows across the border and supporting the prevention and cleanup of illegal dumping activities. CalRecycle looks forward to working with our partners in Baja California and the border region to identify effective solutions to address trash pollution and to accelerate the transition to a circular economy. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for that, Katrina. I think we're ready to turn to, let me start first with any council member questions or additional things to pepper in. Hearing none, I will turn to public comment, and I believe we do have one public comment in the room.
We do. We have one, Waylon Matson.
Great.
Good morning, Secretary Garcia, Council. Thank you for joining us today. Just had 2 questions and a quick comment. I was wondering when AB 650 would fall into action for the council and when we would see that representation. And then the other would be, I got a quick chance to see the draft document, but around tires, we look forward to the day where we're able to have a binational repurposing and recycling center where we could benefit both sides equally, and I think that's great. And thank you for the MOU that was recently signed. We look forward to seeing the operations and maintenance, as well as the binational monitoring element reflected and possibly a new minute. So cheers to everyone on that. So thank you.
Thank you. I think on a binational repurposing station, we should continue that conversation for sure. Very quickly on AB 650, I'm not sure if this is where we have 2 additional seats on our, yes. So we're going to take this up actually in the next item when we talk just a little bit more housekeeping before the next meeting. But for now, we have 2 new legislative seats that will be on this council, and we will be aiming to make that effective and at probably our next meeting, which will be next year. So I think you all will recall that we committed some time ago to holding 2 meetings annually. And so we'll continue to maintain that commitment as we move forward. So want to look for a time probably within the first quarter, maybe toward the end of the first quarter of next year. But very much are looking forward to those 2 legislative seats, a speaker appointment and a pro tem appointment to our, those are ex officio members, non-voting members to our council. And we look forward to welcoming them at the next meeting.
Secretary Garcia, we do have one more public comment if we
Okay.
have time. Mario Lopez.
Good morning, everyone. Mario Lopez.
Good morning, Mario. We can.
I'm an independent consultant. I'm CEO of the Border Group. I do cross-border public affairs. I wanted to mention on the issue of used tires, there's approximately or estimated around 3 million used tires south of the border that leave California. All of these tires, so most of them pay a final disposition fee when they're purchased originally in California. And there's some gaps in the system by which some of the vendors that are collecting those used tires north of the border can actually resell them to used tire companies throughout Mexico. I know because I've been talking with Mexican companies who issue or sell new tires south of the border, and they've always worked with Mexican aduanas, but it's just too hard. So I think this is an important cross-border issue to address. I'm glad it's being taken by this group, and I think outreach and education south of the border with the private sector, folks who deal with the used and new tires, is very important for the subject to push forward. I'm on the board of Canacintra, which is the chamber industry in Baja. Anything that we can do to push this forward south of the border with local and state agencies, we're more than welcome to help and cooperate. Thank you for addressing this important issue.
Thank you for your comment, Mario. Any other public comments? Great. And look forward to collaborating also with our colleagues at GoBiz on those ideas as well. Okay, we will take a quick break. We'll be back here at 11:15 or maybe a little bit before then. We only have a few items left on our agenda. So just some quick future meeting dates discussion, some of which we just covered, a public comment for items not on the agenda, and then we'll adjourn. So thank you for your patience as we take this quick break, and we'll see you back here shortly. Thanks. If folks could make their way back, that would be great. I think we could keep the remainder of the meeting rather quick and let folks get back to the mingling here in the room, which looks productive. So I am going to go ahead and start. Are we back in Sacramento? Looks like it.
We are.
Great.
Good and back.
Great. Okay, I think we could keep this rather brief and move to public comments since our commenter well pointed out that we will be joined by new members. So this future meeting dates and agenda item 9, we just really wanted to cover a proposal for a spring 2026 meeting. Do keep your eyes and ears open for a date there. We will be coordinating with our council members and hopefully more of our colleagues from Baja as well to be able to join that meeting. Again, thank you very much for your patience and grace with us as we continue to process the loss of our colleague while we simultaneously think about the transition in terms of staffing and coordination and logistics. So we will be meeting in around spring 2026. And as we look to that meeting, pursuant to AB 655 by Assemblymember Alvarez, we hope to be joined by one appointed member of the Senate and one appointed member from the Assembly. The bill does go into effect in January of next year. So depending on how quickly those appointments move, we will be joined by them. Any questions or comments from our council on the next meeting and any of the updates to the council membership? Okay, again, we look forward to working with our new ex officio council members. Now we will kick it out to public comment, general public comment for any items that were not on the agenda.
I think we do have a few in person. First up, Kimberly Collins.
There we go. Good morning, Secretary Garcia and all members of the council. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come and say a few words this morning. My name is Kimberly Collins. I'm a professor at Cal State San Bernardino, and I am the chair of the Good Neighbor Environmental Board. The Good Neighbor Environmental Board was formed with the Enterprise for the Americas Initiative in 1992. It's part of a commission within the US EPA. And the 20th report, which was headed out by Dr. Paul Ganster at San Diego State, looked at water and wastewater issues along the US-Mexican border. The current board is working or has worked on a draft report looking at scientific and policy innovations along the US-Mexican border. And we have a chapter on 43 years of the La Paz Agreement, so covering all of the work from La Paz, additional potable water innovations that are occurring particularly in South Texas, infrastructure and development in the ports of entry and along the border, looking at resiliency, and then local government policies. The board has not met since the transition, since November, and we're looking for opportunities and ideas of moving the work forward and thinking about sort of the next steps for the board. And so I'm here just today to say hello and say we hope that the Good Neighbor Environmental Board will continue. We don't have any federal membership right now, but we do have the states working informally with us. California hasn't been at the table just yet because of just the transition and period times. So we do hope that California will be with us and that we can think about ways to keep the work going, because it has done tremendous work. It's really seen as a resource of information, leading academics, and officials working along the whole border have really been engaged in this, and we hope to continue it. So thank you for the time.
Thank you so much for that reminder, and thank you for the work of the Good Neighbor Environmental Board. Really, really productive and helpful work. We'd be happy to plug in again. So welcome continuing that conversation. Let's stay in touch. Thank you. Any questions from council members or comments on the Good Neighbor Environmental Board? Okay, we'll go to our next public comment.
I wanted to give Waylon another opportunity. He had several things marked off. Did you want to make another public comment?
Why not?
I mean, that's odd that you did that, but I'll take it. I guess just to circle back around to the Regional Water Quality Control Board's 50 million for possible binational work, and the North American Development Bank's possible collaboration in that, and just really seeing how we could target a lot of these transboundary corridors, subbasins that directly impact a lot of the sediment and solid waste. So how we could build that out around the Minute 320 program. I think they alluded to a sediment study, but really coordinating some of that funding for monitoring and modeling, and seeing how we could have more informed decision-making at local and state levels on both sides of the board. Thank you. And thank you for the extra time.
Got it. Thanks for the comment. Next public comment.
I don't think we have any more in the room. Maybe we could see and move to Sacramento.
I don't think we're joined by anyone in Sacramento, but
I don't think so either. Okay, no public comment in Sacramento. And then I wanted to give the folks on Zoom an opportunity by raising their hand. Okay, seeing none, I think we can move on.
great. Well, the moving on brings us to our adjournment of this meeting for the day. I want to thank you all again for your presence, for in particular your ongoing work to serve the diverse community across our shared border region, for all of the work that is going on, not only across this council, which I, for one, am always excited to hear about, but also perhaps most importantly, across our communities, community-based organizations, academics, the private sector, and so many of you who are so dedicated to serving this region. Thank you very much. And thank you to the San Diego Regional Water Quality Control Board for hosting us here. Always fun to be here. And in particular for the gavel, which I don't usually have. And I will use more of the next time we meet. Thanks very much. This meeting is adjourned at 11:25 a.m.